everybody. Welcome to the Whistling in the Dark vlog video podcast. So this is a new venture for me. And we're planning on getting Adam as well. We'll probably try to do some live stream with both of us. And, there's a lot of technological hurdles I've had to climb. Had to get like a camera. I wanted to get a nice camera. I think it looks pretty good. I got a Lumix G85 if anybody's interested in, upgrading beyond a webcam or something. I haven't gone too crazy in setting up, all the settings and stuff, but I got a little bit of lighting and I have like Philips Hue lights. And I mean, it's, I didn't go too crazy, but there's a slightly soft background, I guess, which is what you're going for, and I feel like the image is pretty clear. So anyway, bear with me if it's slightly awkward talking into the camera. I mean, it's not lined up with, so I have to like sort of turn and talk to the camera if I want to do make eye contact. I also get caught because I see the screen recording stuff, and so that's on there. I probably should hide it or something. I don't know. But anyway, I've at least got it to where I can record into this, which sounds pretty good, which allows me then to use like my outboard audio gear. And I can also screen record, which I got going on here. So I had a friend share this. Of course, this is the article she chose to share. Kenosha vigilante shooter. I'm not sure why, that being in quotes is kind of amusing. Arrested, booked for homicide. So, let's see. I wonder if maybe we can actually go to like a so his name is Kyle Rittenhouse. Ooh, you saw that autocomplete, didn't you? Theme Twyman people out there. Let's just do Google for now. All right, this is 1 hour ago. Blazes. So I think one of the things is I have to be somewhat careful about what I'm playing, especially with like violence and stuff. Okay, well, just in case you don't know, what's going on here. Violence interrupts. So there was a police officer shooting of a man yesterday, or maybe been a few days ago. So, and again, like I don't think I'm supposed to be showing this if I want to put it on YouTube right now. So I'm going to try that, but you can find very easily the video of the officer shooting. And so the guy is kind of circling around his car, and there's a couple officers at least, with their guns drawn, pointed at him, and they are telling him to not move or whatever. And I heard it. Some people said he may have had a knife, but I don't believe that's true. We could even see if there's something here. The shooting of Jacob Blake. So police responded to a 911 call, which the dispatcher reported as that a complainant said Blake wasn't supposed to be there and that he had taken the complainant's keys and refused to give him back. According to the witness, Blake had pulled his car up near 6 or 7 women, shouting at each other on the sidewalk. And Blake did not say anything to the women. Blake's attorney, Benjamin Crump, said Blake was attempting to de-escalate a fight between two other people. When officers arrived on the scene, then Blake tried to enter his vehicle to check on his 3 sons inside. Officers attempted to subdue Blake and tased him. A bystander who recorded the video of the incident heard police yelling, "Drop the knife," and also said, "I didn't see any weapons in his hands. He wasn't being violent." The other report said Blake was unarmed. After an initial scuffle, Blake got away, walked to the driver's side of the vehicle, followed by the 2 officers with guns drawn. This is what I was talking about. This is like the only thing I've seen on video. The closest officer tried to grab Blake, and then Blake opened the door and leaned in. The officer grabbed him and fired at least 7 shots into his back. Crump said Blake was hit by 4 of the 7 bullets. So he wasn't shot 7 times. They fired 7 shots at him. He was shot 4 times. Okay. So, one, yet another. I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal. We just shot 4 or 7 times. It's just so frustrating. It's so exhausting when at every turn, an exaggeration, a mistake, a lie is always in one direction, with the mainstream media. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul held a press conference to say that a knife was recovered on the driver's side floorboard of the vehicle, and Blake admitted to investigators that he had a knife. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. As a libertarian, I mean, you are in a tough place here because your sort of default position is like F the state and, F the cops and everything like that. But then it's funny because it seems like whenever you are kind of forced to evaluate one of these things, or me, I mean, I guess I shouldn't talk about anybody else. For me, it's tough, when I look in that, I mean, you can't, or I can't make a full appraisal of the situation. I think normally what I can do is just say, if this is the case, then yeah, I believe this. Like, if not, no, I don't know. But I'm just not exactly sure why the cops are tasing this guy and attempting, to arrest him. So I guess they reported that a complainant said Blake wasn't supposed to be there, which, what does that mean? And then he had taken the complainant's keys and refused to give them back. So, I mean, again, like, this is one of the tough things in the way this whole thing's set up. And I don't think that anything that the Black Lives Matter people are saying touches this at all. But to me, getting rid of cops, I mean, like a mall has rent-a-cops, mall security. To me, like, public or private, like state-run or private, like, you want security around. Like, you want to be able to secure yourself, whatever, however you see fit. Or, again, me, like, I want to be able to have that ability. And then, I want to be able to have access to services to help. And I'm one guy, and sure, I have some friends or whatever, but I don't have that many friends, and my friends aren't trying to, like, go to war, to protect, my property. I would much rather employ a service to do that. I have a security system and cameras and stuff. I mean, why can't there be, to me, a private security force connected to all with this type of service? I mean, we're right there, and it would be a lot more effective. And, like, I don't want the cops having access, right? So that's, like, again, where I draw my line. It's like, I don't want the police having access to my cameras, or whatever. And I don't want them getting alerted all the time, but if I had a private security force, then I don't mind, because a private security force, if they come here because they think somebody might have broken in, and then they see like a bag of weed or cocaine or whatever in my house, the private security force is just going about their day. They're not escalating the situation. I'm paying them to be there. And so, it's fine. But if the cops come, because you think you had a break in or whatever, I mean, you might wind up dead, it happens, a bit. And I don't know how many times, this is like something talk about how many unjustified shootings or something. Again, it's like a very, very loaded term. Like if you, sure, I mean, I guess if you accept like the laws as they are in the state and the police and everything like that, and you play entirely by those rules, okay. But if somebody calls the police and says, this guy has my keys, like, I don't think that gives the police the right to tackle this person to the ground or whatever, like they're not the judge and the jury. So I get, like, I'm not saying it's a simple thing, and, maybe my take, and I've done a good bit of thinking, certainly compared to most people. I've thought a whole lifetime about this. Most people have not even for a second considered, the rules of engagement in this kind of scenario. And I think it's like, what are the rules of engagement if, my neighbor yells over to me and says, hey, Pat, the other neighbor there just took my keys and they won't give them back. I think whatever my rules of engagement, those are the cops' rules of engagement. That is the voluntariest way. Like that is the correct libertarian stance, in my opinion. So I can't tase that guy, like I can't do it. And I will say that I think in, let me think about this, but in the scenario where there are no government police whatsoever, private courts, the whole 9 yards, private security, the anarchists' wet dream, then, I mean, maybe you would think a person might have a little bit more latitude to operate in these types of scenarios, because if the only way I can get my keys back are going through some rigmarole with a court, like at the end of the day, if they're my keys, they're my keys. So I think the idea is I better be certain of these claims, let's adjust the scenario just a little bit and say, I know my neighbor. I saw the guy take his keys. I know both of these neighbors. I know he took his keys because I know what those keys look like. And on top of it, because this is the, the anarchist future, the idealistic future, he even has, neighbor A has a tracking thing on his key ring, and obviously neighbor B is holding it. Anyway, like, I'm certain. I mean, at that point, yeah, I'm gonna take those keys back. I'm assuming, my neighbor A, he's an elderly man, so that's why he's calling me rough and tumble, libertarian like type, So anyway, it's all relative. I'm rough and tumble compared to like an 85-year-old man. But there's a lot of people that would not consider me very rough and tumble. Anywho, So yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Apologize if I sound like I'm going around in circles a little bit, but I'm sort of just arguing it out from different, different places, and for the most part, I mean, this is all aside from reading. I think it's having these types of debates, whether it's just in my own head, given the pandemic, a lot of it is that lately, or with friends or people more hostile debating things. You gotta just try to work it out. But anyway, so you know, I think it really comes down to that. Like, if it's that guy's property, if those keys are in that, if neighbor B took those keys, they're not his. Um, I'm gonna get them back, and so this kind of brings us a little bit to let's try and put a all right. Let me try to button up this thing here. So it's tough because I don't the cops are coming into this situation with no knowledge. So it's like whoever called them, it's as if that's the truth. And I guess the idea is like, hey, the police are coming in, they don't want to play favorites, or they don't know who's right and who's wrong. They just want everybody to chill, just to freeze and try to figure it out. You know, I guess that's like the idea. But I don't like if somebody imagine I'm this guy, what's his name again? Jacob Blake. I'm this guy. Imagine I didn't take anybody's keys and some chick just is mad at me for some other reason. She calls the police. Like, I don't know, I mean, why do I need to inconvenience my life for this? And then, with the police, if you disobey any order, it's escalated to basically homicide, like we see, and now granted, right? If dude's got a knife, but in the video I saw, this guy's making no move towards the police. Now, I guess you could say he was going to get a knife out of the car. I mean, it seems crazy, but there's crazy people all over, so you can't really rule it out on the grounds of being crazy. But anyway, so that's I don't really know what to say with this. I mean, I think people get pissed off a lot because I don't come with super firm opinions a lot. I can kind of exist in the gray, and it's fine for me. So, in the wake of this, the second part becomes very clear to me, right? The riots are wrong. There's no, there may be individual police shootings that I may say, well, in this, I mean, the guy drew down on the cops and he got killed. Okay. And then, I don't know, I guess probably the most egregious would be the Breonna Taylor. And forgive me, I've actually never like really read up on that one. But as far as I know, they just like went into the wrong house and killed her. So I'm not sure like what other information I need to identify that. And, anyway, so, there's two examples. This one, I mean, I'm kind of leaning on towards that. This seems pretty messed up. It's hard for me to really like see how you're shooting a guy, how you're tasing him, how you're tackling him to the ground because some other person said that they has their keys. Like, I mean, one of the things you hear like the Black Lives Matter rioters talk about is like, hey man, this is just property and, it's not worth more than human life, which is like, I forget what you call that, like a false dilemma or something. I mean, these two things they're totally independent of each other, right? Like, um, I can value both. I you know, but in this case, it seems kind of like, hey, we can figure this out. It's not life or death at this moment that we like absolutely know for sure about these keys. And I know you didn't kill this guy, but they paralyzed him. They shot him 4 times. I don't know. And I get where it's coming from, because sure, like if I was in that situation, I'd be scared shitless. If I was that dude, I mean, I would just, put my hands up and lay on the ground and let the cops search me and do whatever they wanted to me. Like I'm not that rough and tumble. So, but to me, like, it doesn't really matter that, I'm not sure. I think everybody gets that if Jake Blake, was completely submissive, he probably wouldn't have gotten shot. But we also, certainly as libertarians, don't want everybody to just completely submit to any, state order. It's complicated. I mean, I also get, it's like there's a piece of it where it is the reality that these cops' jobs is like violent as shit and dangerous, and like they're not libertarian philosophers. So like this is somewhat lost. Going to be lost on, well, largely lost on them. And they're like in a really pretty real sense. I mean, there's probably a lot of them that are just trying to make a neighborhood like safer or whatever, like root out the bad guys. So, I guess we'll just see, what comes out on that. It's funny how pretty conflicting feelings and opinions about this it can exist in me right now, because when I look at the video, my gut reaction is like, yeah, not surprised that the cops shot him. Like, I mean, just like, don't, obviously, like, it escalated at that point. Cops have their guns out on you, and it's like, they get their guns drawn on you. I mean, the next step is definitely using them, and I don't know how it got escalated to there, but now that we're there, I feel like, just stop and don't get shot. That's my, that's kind of my knee-jerk reaction. I feel like, looking at it, like it wasn't anything like the I can't think of his name right now. Man, the big guy that got choked out in New York and killed. I mean, that was brutal. And and the George Floyd, thing that at least set all this off recently. So, yeah. So anyway, though, it's just funny that I can have all that, and then also be able to really kind of go through in this more calm and collected libertarian fashion and sort of establish that it's like, well, what would this look like in a libertarian world? Like, what, with like property rights and stuff like that. And, I think it really comes down to, like, for me, if it's me in the place of the cop, it all comes down to if the guy took the keys or not, and if I'm going to act on the, that belief, and hopefully I'm right, because if I'm wrong and I go tackle this guy, and I'm not sure if it's much of a defense to say, oh, I thought he stole this. Sorry, I shot him in his back 4 times. You just better be right. So, I mean, I think that's, that's like the reality. You don't have the magic eraser of the state to, protect you if you were wrong. about these assumptions. So I think people would be a little, and even your private security force would have to be damn sure because they don't get that special pass either. So, it was for a new liberty. So then we have a few days of, or maybe 2 days or something, of rioting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is very interesting. You don't think of that. I forget how far they are from Milwaukee, but man, Kenosha, Wisconsin, you wouldn't think this would be like a hotbed of Black Lives Matter activities and protests and stuff. Anyway, so the violence that erupted in Kenosha. So actually, I don't want to jump to this. So there's rioting because of this shooting, and the one day, see if we can get a good. Yeah, I mean, there's all, yeah. Oh, God. I don't want a single website ever sending me a pop-up, a notification on my computer. Thank you. So, here's some dude gets his jaw broken, trying to defend his mattress store. It's funny because everything's just showing this kid. Yeah. So, Kenosha car dealership owner says more than 50 cars were torched, causing 1.5 million. And this is like I'm pretty sure this is a used car dealership. I mean, this isn't some, whatever. There's no, well, I mean, what the hell website am I on here? This is it. Just okay. Kenosha protests escalate. I don't know if this will work, but yeah, they were outside of the courthouse. They had guns. You know, the one thing that's pretty funny there, I don't know if you can see that. So Black Lives Matter, and they just go in and destroy their, everything there. They went to the courthouse with guns. Here's like another one of the car dealership. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, they burn a ton of cars. I guess they're just blowing up. The cars are just blowing up. It's not gunshots or whatever. So there you go. Here's another building got destroyed. A business. So I guess Sunday is when the shooting happened. The garbage truck that burned. That's right outside the courthouse, I think. Yeah, there's a Black Lives Matter supporting car dealership is destroyed. Here's this another view of the car dealership. You know, I think they did it by putting flares in them. I did see like an up close video at one point. Not that we need to be like training people how to do this, but I just thought it was interesting on how they did. Well, I should probably not show this one. So I guess they knock out an officer with a brick. Oh, this is the actual video. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he sort of zooms in. So there you go. So at that point, this is it. Like, he just goes into the car. He goes into the car, and then he's like leaning into the driver's side door or something, and the guys are right there, but you know, he gets shot. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, don't open your car door and reach for something when being questioned by police officers. They're on edge. Some of them have been injured and murdered the past 4 months. Right. It's like, you know, I get that. I mean, honestly, like, I have to say, like, sure, that's probably my initial, you know, reaction as well. But all in all, that's tough, you know. Again, it's like one of my biggest issues with, or, you know, the way that it winds up playing out is some small thing. You could start with jaywalking, but if you don't listen, if they say, hey, come here, you know, we saw you jaywalking, and you say no, and you just keep saying no, and you refuse, you know, it's going to wind up with you either in a cage or dead, you know, or in the hospital, like this guy paralyzed or something. So, you know, it absolutely, the libertarian position is not for this stuff, you know. I mean, we got big problems with this. Dare I say, much bigger problems than, excuse me, than the left. Because the left thinks that it's just some specific issues with the way the laws are written, and we just need to change these laws a bit so that we don't have a group called the police. We're going to spread this around and make other enforcement or whatever community groups, but it's still all ran by the government, and you know, in order that means they're going to have a special pass to do what they want. So, you know, for us, like, we actually want to get rid of the police. Like, we don't want to just change the name. Another thing I think, you know, so there was that Shadowgate thing, and it's gotten, so for a little bit I was following Gavin Wentz, and that Tori says it's like at tweet words with a Z or whatever, but it's so annoying. Even Millie Weaver, I'm about to unfollow her if she keeps it up. It's just like nonstop. They just are so, it's just like everybody is a CIA operative and blah 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 blah. But anyway, you know, they do talk in Shadowgate, you know, they talk a little bit about like artificial intelligence, robotic policing, drone policing, all this stuff. And I think there's been some kind of test runs with drones about social distancing. Like there's some video, yeah, I can social distancing drone. I get used to this. Yeah. There we go. Let's see if we can.
All over the world right now, public health and safety groups are turning to drones to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. Officials are using them to monitor public spaces and enforce social distancing rules. A recent study found that there are nearly 1,600 agencies in the U.S. who now have drones, and our Errol Barnett is in New York showing us how they're being used and also the privacy concerns.
This is the anti-COVID-19 Volunteer Drone Task Force. Onlookers were perplexed as CBS News captured this drone buzzing above a New York City park this month at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. It wasn't the work of New York police, but instead this frustrated drone enthusiast from Queens.
I couldn't believe my eyes.
Xavier Arthur was so angry at people not following guidelines to stay home, he offered what he describes as a public service.
I was like, okay, I'm just going to make sure that the message gets out loud.
Planned to pilot a drone that monitored to receive a donation from
reason, telling people to get out. We're not.
This park is currently closed.
But his plan mimics those of some public safety organizations nationwide.
We're not telling people to get out. We're not enforcing as far as them having to go. We're just making the announcement for public safety reasons.
Sergeant Tim Ehrenkoffer's police department in Daytona Beach, Florida, is just one of 43 agencies in 22 states to receive a donation from DJI.
Georgia.
The drone manufacturer gave away 100 devices as part of its disaster relief program. Ehrenkoffer has also tested but not deployed other drone-backed technologies like measuring body temperature.
It's equipped with a FLIR, the forward-looking infrared camera, which can detect heat signatures.
That technology was meant to be deployed in Connecticut, where the Westport Police Department planned to pilot a drone that monitored heat signatures and tracked distances between people. It could even recognize if someone coughed, but it was pulled over residents' privacy concerns. And privacy advocates in the U.S. are warning of the potential for abuse.
You could add the ability to do facial recognition or the ability to do license plate reading, thermal imaging cameras that can, essentially see through walls.
Jeremy Scott is senior counsel at the Electronic Privacy Information Center.
Some people might say, look, these extreme measures are just for use during this pandemic. Why should we worry?
Then there should be no issue with stating that in providing certain protections, saying this.
So it doesn't matter if they say it, right? Like, it doesn't matter if they say that it's only for this or it's only for that, We know that for sure. There's no higher authority that they need to answer to. So they do whatever they want. This is what they do. They bring it in. I remember the Stingrays and for spying on your cell phones. And Alex Jones talked about that how many years ago, and everybody said he was crazy. And then slowly it just became the norm. And now it's totally accepted in the mainstream news that the police have the ability to just listen in on your cell phone if they're in the area. And it's never been a debate. There's no question about it. Nothing like that. So anyway, so I guess this is much more about this Kenosha, Wisconsin. This episode has kind of gone that way. Couple new things. So terrible rioting. I'm not even sure, how much we really need to go into it. There's no possible analysis in the libertarian framework that makes it okay. You got to look at every individual incident, So you go to this garage, parking lot, used car garage or whatever. Jesus. And I mean, you just can't burn this person's inventory. I mean, I just don't get and some, I dig Maj Toure a good bit. I think it's really cool, what he does. And, I think he's trying to make a real difference in a lot of these communities that Black Lives Matter is faking like they're trying to help, but really Black Lives Matter is just using their pain as a shield to sort of bring in these really, really bad changes, which underneath all of it is a Marxist philosophy. I mean, you almost can't get more opposite of us than that. So So Maj Touré is certainly on the good side there, and attempting to say, hey, we got to learn to defend ourselves, and and that sort of thing, which is a big piece of this. If we ever wanted to get to this voluntarist world, a big piece is being able to defend yourself and your property, whether by your own personal defense stuff, but also, like we said, some hopefully private security. And private security, sure, you're right. Like they may do drones and all kinds of stuff like that. Because we're paying them. If all the neighbors on my block are down with this, we get together and maybe not everybody pays in, but you say, hey, look, even if you're, don't want to pay in, as long as you're like okay with it, we can patrol all these areas with drones, to make it almost impossible for somebody to get in here undetected. Like once a camera picks them up, you can have a drone tracking them. I mean, it'll make breaking into your house just ridiculously, like a ridiculously low probability of working out. But, where, I don't know. I mean, I think where Maj Touré maybe is a little bit overboard is, really jumping to judgment about the shooting, and then also calling out people. And I mean, maybe I can try and find this here. Follow me on Twitter. Patrick J. Bradley. That's me. So we got Maj. Maybe we could find it, but I just wanted to bring that. I'm going to talk a whole lot about him, but like I mean, I don't know. He like this kind of a thing is like, I mean, I don't get what the point of saying it is. Like, he's not a funny guy, so I mean, I don't really think that he means it, in a really like kind of funny way. Like, I mean, I could see maybe me saying something like this. Not that I'm like a comedian, but I mean, Maj Touré just like, I've never seen the dude try to be funny ever. Like, this is just him kind of being a dick, and again, it's like, what's the point? Like what's your, how do you unpack what you're saying here? Like, there isn't that, like, there's way more black on black crime, right? I mean, there isn't that much white on white crime. A little bit. I mean, I guess there's a significant amount, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like, this is just like one thing that happened one day. What about this week in Chicago? What about that same fucking day in Chicago? And that's just one place. I don't do anonymous. I'm trying to see, I mean, and this is sort of like on the other side, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe he was trying to be legit funny. The Black Power fist. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I don't know if he Anyway, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know where it is, and maybe he deleted the tweet, or I just don't know how to look around. But he had said something about people jumping on the like condemning, like condemning the rioters, but not, and I don't know what this is, statutory rape. I was trying to not put words in his mouth, but I may have to. So apologize if I'm sort of missing the spirit of this. Yeah, so that's cool. In the spirit of objectivity, I'm going to go find footage of officers shooting folks that was completely justified. Don't want y'all to think, get it twisted as I'm saying officers should play nice even when they're, or play nice when their life is actually on the line. I get it. Yeah. And this is like what I was saying. I mean, you know, I just feel like both things are true. Like, yeah, man, I mean, the dude could have stopped, but maybe he was sort of like a freedom fighter. Cool. Yeah. So, uh, so yes, this is it. Oh God. If yet another officer shoots or kills a citizen in cold blood, and that community responds with violence to property, and officers in return don't look at me to condemn that community's actions. Look at me when you're ready to address the initial murder by agents of the state. Yeah, I mean, again, like, I think that this situation is like a little bit different than just in cold blood. And I'm not saying that, you know, that wasn't definitely wrong or whatever. But, you know, the devil's in the details here. They respond with violence to property and officers. Right. Property, no. Like, and in officers in general, like, that's kind of tough too, you know? I mean, go after that officer. I don't know. Like, if the riots were bringing the fight to the police, then it's different. Then it's like, okay, like, you killed this guy, like, it's on, it's on, and we're fighting you. But random property, I'm going to condemn that, and I think if you don't condemn that, then like you're mistaken, as a there you go. I'll go on the other side. Just trying out this. I set up a few scenes so I can get out of the way in case you want to read this little section down here. Yeah. So I just feel like you're missing. You're mistaken as a libertarian for not condemning that, because it's a big deal. Like, this isn't some small thing that we're talking about. Like, I agree that police are a big deal, but the rioting in the United States since was like Memorial Day weekend, right thereabouts, right before it started. I mean, it's outrageous. I mean, we're talking, I heard somebody just say this, maybe like 30 some people have been killed. I mean, at this point, it's got to be billions of dollars of damage, fucking billions of dollars of damage to private, to private businesses and stuff. And it's sort of like terrorizing, people. It's not the way. And I thought of a possible way to compare to like maybe a more something like more straightforward, right? Like war. Imagine the Iraq War, right? Back when we were when that was actually like in the news. And so imagine that there was a rash of violent protests across the United States, like literally in hundreds of cities, destroying just like you would see an incident like, the other night in Kenosha where you have a used car lot where rioters, in the name of Iraqi Lives Matter, ILM, the ILM, they went and burned all these cars up, and you have this picture of the ILM or Iraqi Lives Matter in front of a burning parking lot of cars. I would condemn that. I would implore people that were against this war to not get violent, and especially with just random citizens and destroying their private property. Again, like, you want to bring the fight in that case to the White House, like storm, whatever. All right, I'm not saying that this is effective. I mean, I don't know, but it's just like, you've got to. Like, if somebody does something bad to me, that doesn't give me the like a free pass to just go do something bad to somebody else. And if I go do something bad to somebody else, that somebody else has just as much grievance as I had from the initial thing that happened to me. And in fact, probably even more, because now I have tainted my case. Like, if I said, oh man, this guy came in and, he broke in my house and stole my TV and punched me in the face, and I'm telling you this, and it's like, yeah, I got this video of you, like 2 days later or later that day or whatever, beating up your elderly neighbor, and you lit his car on fire. And I'm like, yo, man, but I got robbed. People aren't going to give a shit if I got robbed, if I just went and beat up the elderly neighbor. It really matters. Like, if you want, like, it's like, if you wanted to galvanize the alt-right into not giving a shit about Black lives, this is the way you would go do it. That's basically what I'm saying, And, like, if I wanted to get people on the side of anti-war, the last thing on earth I'm going to do is go burn down a used car lot with a "Bring Our Troops Home" sign, right? That's like the last thing on earth I'm going to do. So, yes, I condemn it. I condemn it. 100%. And that, I think that Mashtre is making a big mistake by not doing that. So the next thing that occurs is, last night there some shooting, and I'm just going to pick up some kind of random article about it, just to give again, because I'm not going to play these videos and stuff. So Kenosha, Wisconsin, the violence that erupted in Kenosha and ended up leaving 2 people dead and a 3rd injured overnight Tuesday into Wednesday unfolded on social media. Chris Ty pieced together dozens of eyewitness videos, stitched together those videos of accused murder subject Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's see what this link looks like here. Maybe we can get back to that. But the shooting took place around 11:45 Tuesday near 63rd and Sheridan Road amid a third night of unrest. Okay, so finally you get that answer. Third right. After the Jacob Blake shooting, police did not arrest Rittenhouse at the scene, but at the start of the night, they thanked an armed group who had come out. And at the end of the night, video shows Rittenhouse was able to walk right out of Kenosha hot zone. Right. Because it's a fucking riot. And the police they're not arresting anybody. I mean, they also didn't arrest people for torching businesses over the last 3 nights. I'm not saying, yes, murder worse than arson. Arson's still pretty fucking bad, though. Like, it's pretty bad. And they didn't make any effort at all. So I don't know why they're it's like literally the world that this fucking media has like hyped up to create. Just, like Maj says, the purge or whatever. And but somehow they're going to point this out. And also, like, my stupid ass friend that, shared that, the one thing she shares is a TMZ one where they describe him as a vigilante, as in quotes, like as if that, means something. So we appreciate you guys. We really do. And they're saying it like this is a bad thing. People coming out to fucking protect property from other people, but, this is a bad thing. Before there were bullets in the air, there were attaboys from the so-called Citizens Brigade that showed up armed. Thank you, guys. Do you need water? Seriously, you need water? We'll throw you one, an officer says. With that, the crew, some armed with long guns, took on the night. They did not have badges, but did seem to have tacit approval from the same sheriff's officials who told others, you're a civilian, the area is closed, you're trespassing, leave now, leave now. But they didn't, right? Like, they didn't leave. They had guns, and they burned the whole fucking place down. I mean, what, like, because these guys aren't rioters. Why should they be treated like, okay, here's what I mean. Let's say we all get fucking jerseys, right? And for 2 straight nights, we're all wearing some fucking uniform and we're terrorizing some neighborhood, burning down businesses, beating the shit out of people, breaking some old man's jaw like actually happened. And the third night, some fucking other people come in and say, hey, we're going to help. We're going to stand guard out here. And the cops are like, good, thanks. We're glad you're here because we're overwhelmed and we're not really allowed to engage or whatever, whatever the case is. And the media comes out and is just like, oh my God, they're like allowing these people with long guns. God, I fucking can't stand these people with long guns to walk around when they're telling the other people are trespassing. It's like, yeah, because the other people have like chosen a uniform and now are identifying in that uniform. They're being aggressive towards the police. I mean, do you think these police are just fucking robots? Anyway. All right. So attaboy, yeah. With that, the crew, okay. So Rittenhouse, part of the brigade on Tuesday night, is believed to have worn a white hat, green shirt, and blue gloves. He carried with him a long gun, and it appeared permission. Why do they call it a long gun? Like, it's a fucking rifle. A hasty confession. The gunman appears saying, I just killed somebody in the same moment from a different angle. Good Samaritans are tending to a man who has been shot in the head. As witnesses tried to keep the man alive, Rittenhouse is apparently seen running on the street and gets noticed. He is taken to the ground and then fires weapons at the attackers. Another person appears to be shot by his long gun. This time the police attend to the injured while the gunman kept walking backward now, inching towards authority. At the end of the street, onlookers flagged him to police. He just shot them. Hey, dude right there shot him. Dude right here shot all of them down here. With blue gloved hands in the air and a gun around his chest, the brigade member. I mean, fuck these people, man. God, I fucking hate them. Such fucking losers. Like, seriously, just the biggest fucking losers in the world. Brigade member. And fuck everybody that's so goddamn fucking stupid that you can't see through this shit, man. I can't stand it. I can't stand that so many of my friends are like middle school level intelligence. That now they'll just start saying, oh, he's brigade member. Like that fucking just fucking low brow mind control BS works on them, and now they have him as a brigade member. Like, what does that even mean? Who was thanked at the start of the night and given St. Passage Pass, please. Right. And remember, the person that wrote this article, the editor, whatever, they have no fucking clue what has actually occurred. They have no idea what precipitated the shootings. They don't know. What do we see? What are the fucking videos show? Like, you go look through. I mean, maybe I'm missing a video, but as far as I know, I'm not saying this guy isn't a murderer, but like, It's already case closed for these pieces of shit at Chicago CBS local. Chicago CBS, where would you have fucking 20 murders last night? But this is just an atrocity. With blue-gloved hands in the air and a gun around his chest, the brigade member who was thanked at the start of the night was given safe passage past police. He was not stopped and cuffed, but was allowed to exit with his own, only with this warning: you with the long gun, don't come down here. This is closed. So he wasn't allowed down there. Kenosha Mayor John Antaramian made it clear Wednesday that he does not want people with weapons to come in and try to help the police under any circumstances. They're not helping the police. They're protecting their property. It's not helping the police. The police, why do they need help? The police just sit in a police station and do nothing. It's fine, right? No skin off of their fucking nose. But if they sit in there and do nothing and all the fucking businesses get burned down, well, you know. The county sheriff said their personnel handed out water to all types of people needing it, and doing so, those groups should not take a signal of support. As for Rittenhouse showing up with his hands in the air, appearing to turn himself in, the sheriff said officers not realize what he's trying to do. Right. It's total fucking chaos. I mean, this idea that the police, like, they're implying that the police knew that this kid had just shot people and they let him go. That is absurd. That is there. I think there is very, very little chance that that is true. Judging by the fucking video, they just said, at some point they said, they yelled at him to, like, don't go down there. You with the long gun. I mean, they're not, you know, anyway. The partner of the 26-year-old victim who was killed identified him to CBS 58 Milwaukee's Anthony Huber. So anyway, what I saw, the videos, and again, not going to play them, but what I saw was just some shooting and whatever. It's a real long, like a bunch of people running around, and then you see a guy, I guess, kind of get hit. I saw a video actually today of that guy yelling, saying, shoot me then, N, using the N word. This is a white dude, which I don't really understand what was going on there, but he was yelling like, shoot me then. And then later in the night, he got shot right in the head, and I think he died. So I don't know. But, you know, antagonizing people to shoot you is generally not the smartest thing to do. Whether or not they have the right to, you know, I generally just don't threaten people that have guns, especially when I don't. So when you're looking at that video, it's sort of far away, and then cameraman's kind of coming up on the scene, and you see somebody else come out around the car and then kind of go running away, like across the camera, and I think it's the guy. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the guy. Like, I think that's like the accepted interpretation. Now, I watched the video a few times. I don't think there's anything in that video that shows me that kid shot the person that got hit in the head. It's quite possible. I'm just, and maybe there's other videos. I don't know, but that's that. I have no idea what the situation is. I don't know where they are. I don't know what was going on before that. But that's, you know, that's what I saw. So he was certainly in the area of a shooting. Whether or not he did the shooting, not really sure. And he sort of jogged away. And it was kind of weird. Like, I feel like he did. Like, it seems like people are pretty certain that he shot this dude in the head, but I really don't know how they are. And by watching the video, I just, like, the cameraman sure didn't seem to think that, like, because he would have followed that guy, I would think, or at least made some note of it in some kind of way. The guy that was helping the person that got shot didn't seem particularly alarmed or anything, you know, towards this kid, the 17-year-old. So you know, so that's that. And then from what I understand is then him running away is when, and I don't know if it's like literally like right there or whatever, but while he's running away, or at some point later, you know, they're going after him, and presumably I think is because of this person getting shot. So again, like, I don't know, but it seems like people seem to think pretty certain, you know, that he did it. But anyway, so they wind up tackling him, and it's a bunch of people. Like, this kid's gonna probably die or get really fucked up if he doesn't, you know, protect himself. And, you know, I mean, if you just murdered somebody in cold blood and now you're defending yourself, I mean, I don't know what that is. It seems like there's some asterisks next to that, self-defense, but nonetheless, like, some kid or another guy is like a skateboarder, so hits him over the head or tries to hit him in the head, and he like he's thrown on the ground. He kind of doesn't really hit him, and I think he shoots him. Like, it's like really, like, he's like on his back, and it's like boom over him. And I swear he like shoots this dude through the heart or something. Is he turns and he takes like a couple steps and just like falls down. It's pretty intense. Some friend of mine that does a lot of like gun training stuff. He actually put these videos up and was talking about it. It's talking about, this is why we train shooting at like awkward angles and all this stuff, because, you know, you see like when it's really happening. And then another guy comes up, and I mean, there's other people like around. There wasn't quite on him yet. Like, people are still kind of coming, and then he shoots this guy. And I think this is the dude that gets like this whole top of his arm like blown off. And then that dude like turns, and then they start screaming medic, medic. And this is where like basically the kid is able to sort of run towards some armored police vehicles like a block or so down. And that's when, you know, he's got his hands up and the rifle and everything that they described in that article. And that's that. That's pretty much what happened. One thing that was like pretty weird was pretty weird with the guy that got shot in the bicep. He had a gun. Like, you can see the picture. There's a picture of him after he's shot, his bicep all jacked up, and he's kind of like, you know, kneeling over in pain, and his gun is like on the ground. I just, for the life of me, don't get, and right, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I want this kid killed or the kid with the guy with the pistol killed. I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, if I had a pistol and I just seen him shoot this skateboarder through the heart, why am I trying to engage him in like a scuffle? I mean, I also have a firearm. Shoot him. Like, why? I don't really get what's happening there. But he decided to get up like right on top of him, and he got shot, you know, in the arm, and that basically incapacitated him. So that's that. And again, right, like, you know, I mean, I feel like this idea, like something that people kind of got to get past, or whatever, they're never going to get past it. But where I'm personally at is like, if I'm on my property and you're trying to come in, I don't care if all you want to do is like destroy my property. Like, my morals say like, I'm going to fucking kill you, and it's fine. Like, that's fine. I can protect my property by ending your life. Like, that is, you know, that's where my morals are. So like, to me, like, if this kid's defending somebody's property and they come onto it and they're going to start smashing stuff up and they shoot him, then don't fucking destroy people's property. I mean, it's just simple as that. And the amount, like, I mean, this shit is just like too much, and this is like a cohesive movement, like you're all saying the same slogans, you're all doing the same actions. It keeps getting violent at night, whatever, and people are fucking fed up with it. And so, I don't know. So, this kid gets arrested and we'll see what happens. Yeah. So here's what we got. Kenosha vigilante shooter arrested, booked for homicide. So the shooting occurred, resulted in 2 people dying. Is exactly why he doesn't support deputizing citizens and guns to help patrol communities. Meanwhile, the police have killed 1,000 people. Right, but like what he's ignoring is the police completely derelict in their duty to protect, people's property. So fuck him. Who gives a shit what David Beth thinks? Fuck you. You know what I mean? Your people just stood down and watched this whole city just get burned to the fucking ground. So, everybody's supposed to just take it? Fuck you. He said he thinks the 2 victims got mixed up with this group inquiring about becoming deputized. He also gave his reasoning why law enforcement let the shooting suspect, the vigilante shooter in Kenosha, who allegedly shot and killed at least 2 people, has been captured by cops. So I don't know where they're getting this vigilante thing. Kyle Rittenhouse was registered. Records today he was booked for first-degree homicide in relation to the Kenosha shooting. And it's funny too, right? So, it's just a perfect example, right? Next fucking day, this kid's booked for first-degree murder. How long did it take to figure out this George Floyd shit when there was way more clear video evidence of exactly what went down? The video evidence that you see of Kyle Rittenhouse is him getting assaulted by a group of people and shooting his way out. It appears he's been assigned a public defender and is set to appear in court, whatever. He was booked for first-degree homicide. A man who witnessed, but the cops that shot Jacob Blake, right? Nothing at all. Not a fucking word. I do kind of feel like fuck the police right now. I feel like fuck everybody. Fuck Black Lives Matter and fuck the police. You know what I mean? Fuck everybody. A man who witnessed described as being part of a vigilante militia group with a long gun brazenly walked down the street in Kenosha. Brazenly. All these piece of shit rioters been brazenly burning fucking businesses down. Began firing his weapon at people protesting the police shooting, killing 2 and nearby walking right past a swarm of cops. This is like an absolute fucking lie. TMZ, this is a night, and this is what my stupid fucking friend shares. This is the shit that she spreads around. She thinks she's doing so much good with her Black Lives Matter bullshit. Fucking, this is what she shares. A man whose witness described as being part of the vigilante militia group. Like, they don't know anything about who these fucking people are, right? With a long gun brazenly walked down the street in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Tuesday night, and began firing his weapon at people protesting the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Killing 2 and incredibly walking past a swarm of cops who let them in the night. Just everything about that is a lie or just fabricated, They have no idea if they're in a vigilante group. I guess you can say a witness described it. So they're just reporting what a witness described. But maybe don't just report what anybody says and try to check up on it. A vigilante militia group. A 17-year-old kid brazenly walked down the street. Well, the video shows that he was actually being chased, and then he was tackled to the ground and hit with a skateboard. Had another man coming up with a pistol, and, he fucking shot his way out of the situation. So, None of that is true. The protests and describing them, right, protesting the police shooting, right? Not rioting and burning down buildings, but protesting the police shooting. Fuck you, TMZ. The protest centered around the courthouse, got out of hand with water bottles, rocks, and fireworks aimed at the police, and the police fired rubber bullets. That's when the white vigilante appears on the video with the gun. He reportedly had already shot someone several blocks away. He's being chased by protesters who were trying to subdue him. Okay, so they contradict themselves literally in the same article. Now, obviously, TMZ is fucking retarded, but how fucking retarded is my friend? You know, this is like somebody that people look up to some extent as being like for some guidance, I think. She's actually smarter than most of the people I know, but she's this dumb. That's when the white vigilante appears on video with his gun or part of like being chased. So was he brazenly walking down the street and shooting at protesters, or was he being chased by protesters who were already trying to subdue him? Right. There's no fucking mention of the guy with the skateboard that hit him in the head. The other guy he shot who had a gun also. He was being chased by somebody with a gun, at least one person, and a whole fucking mob of people. And then the unthinkable happened as police swarmed the area and patrol cars and fortified vehicles visible around his chest. He puts his hand up in the air. Police let him pass. It's a stunning contrast. The white vigilante posed a clear and present danger. Like they're just trying to inflame the situation. The white vigilante posed a clear and present danger, even if the cops didn't know he was a shooter. Why? Because he had a gun? There's people that had fucking guns all over the place down there. All these protests. Look at it now. Look at fucking all these protests too. People, BLM, whatever, man. People got fucking rifles all over the place. And they're saying he unarmed, right? So they're jumping to that conclusion that he was definitely unarmed. And that's, you know, so whatever. I know I'm fucking just preaching to the choir, telling you guys this shit, but, you know, fuck these motherfuckers. The other thing that happened, I don't know where else to go with that. I mean, it's just like infuriating. I mean, everybody sucks. Hey, like, honestly, like, I think you should. You know, I'm probably too much of a pussy to like defend my fucking neighbor's property. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like it hasn't really quite come down to that. I mean, honestly, in Atlanta, like it's been relatively chill, which is funny because we're like, you know, predominantly black city, and they don't, you know, the African Americans here don't seem to like want to burn down their own city nearly as much as these all like super white areas. Another thing after that is so the NBA is postponing playoff games after the Milwaukee Bucks boycott, which again, kind of funny language. I feel like boycotting is not what you do when you won't work and you're supposed to. I think it's called a strike, but because you can call, you know, say whatever you want these days. So let's just hear what they have to say real quick. I'm sure it's gonna be real dumb. Oh, sorry.
Bob, I have not seen anything like this in my life. An NBA team boycotting as a way of civil disobedience, as a way of protest, the Milwaukee Bucks saying that they're not going to play. Put this in some sort of historical perspective for us, if you would.
Yeah, Jake, I have not seen anything exactly comparable to this. There have been gestures. I'm old enough to remember. I was a teenager when Tommy Smith and John Carlos raised their fists at the Mexico City Olympics in 1968. Of course, Muhammad Ali, not in a team sport, gave up 3+ years of his career, and that was remarkable and remains at the top of the pyramid in this respect. There have been concerted efforts by athletes at various times, but never anything that is comparable to this. Colin Kaepernick and others kneeling. Yes. Black Lives Matter on the court at all the NBA playoff games. Yes. The Detroit Lions yesterday not practicing, which was a significant statement. But in this case, you're talking about a game, and a playoff game at that.
Bob, obviously sports leagues, and the NBA in particular, have been a place where players are speaking their minds, standing up for what they believe. This is obviously a stark example of civil disobedience and protest. Is it hurting the NBA with any fans who don't want politics in their professional athletics?
I think there's no question that it's hurting the NBA in that respect. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. And I think that Adam Silver, who, like his predecessor David Stern, has always been a forward-looking commissioner, he's got something to balance here. But I think his basic sympathies are with the players in this situation.
Yeah, so pretty interesting. They talk about the civil disobedience. They make a reference to Muhammad Ali, and let's see. Right. So I think it's a little bit different than on April, Muhammad Ali refuses to be inducted in the U.S. Army. Is immediately stripped of his heavyweight title. Ali, Muslim, religious reasons, not before we go. Military service, born in Cassius Clay, blah, blah, blah. So that was 67. Refused, right. I ain't got no quarrel with those. I got no quarrel with those Vietnam. So this is nothing like what the NBA players are doing right now, right? So this would be like if they were trying to get the NBA players to become police officers and they said no, and then because they said no, now you can't play basketball. Muhammad Ali didn't say, I'm not fighting until we end the Vietnam War. When they did like sit-ins and shit in the civil rights era or whatever, like Rosa Parks and these types of things, I mean, they were breaking the law. That's what civil disobedience is. These dudes are just not working. And their fucking jobs have nothing to do with this at all. So, like, it's up to the NBA whether or not they want to dock their pay. I mean, so they're just basically like, okay, well, now the NBA is not going to make any money on these games until they play. And these players are still going to want their paychecks though, right? So they're not doing anything. They're not hurting themselves one iota. They're still getting paid. The NBA is losing the money. This is the NBA not basically charging their players for Black Lives Matter. I mean, that's who's sacrificing here, And if the whole season just ended, then also like all the people, all the fans that like bought NBA League Pass stuff, all the other companies that built whatever around this infrastructure, they all lost money. But unless the players lose money, they're not doing shit. Like if Giannis gets his full paycheck, I mean, what the fuck did he give up? Where's the sacrifice? How is this civil disobedience? What law are they breaking? And like, it's not like the rioters, right? You don't just go out and break random laws. Civil disobedience is breaking the unjust laws. So this is pretty silly. I don't get it, man. Like I don't get, like, if everybody in my office was like, yo, we're not going in until they defund the Atlanta Police Department. I mean, what I just like don't get, like, what good does that do, you know? And then at the end of the day, right, if we still get our checks, then it's our company that's footing the bill. And we're just taking a vacation and getting paid and virtue signaling like a motherfucker. So, I don't know. Fuck these guys. But congratulations, Giannis won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year. I think that just happened today. He's a beast for sure on the court. And I don't know if I guess they didn't do MVP yet. He won MVP last year. So last year was the MVP. This year is Defensive Player of the Year. Might also be MVP. I don't know. Oh, I did see something funny. I want to see if it's still here. So CNN. So we'll do a brief check-in on coronavirus. Protecting babies. If pregnant woman gets COVID-19, can you see that? Will her baby be infected? Can babies get coronavirus through breastfeeding? About 2 to 5% of babies born to mothers with COVID-19 tested positive. Infected mothers unlikely to pass coronavirus to their newborns. Right, 2 to 5%. A study found no cases, so it went under 2%. The babies remained 6 feet apart, and the mother, except while breastfeeding, and the mothers wore surgical masks when handling their newborns, and followed proper hand and breast washing procedures. So I don't know, like, I mean, the baby has to wash its hands. I feel like more than. Anyway, pretty funny. But I mean, I guess this is like the specific situation where, like, you like literally are infected, and then like you literally have it, and you know, even if it's not going to kill the baby, you still certainly don't want to give your baby. So we crossed 6 million cases, 183,000 deaths. Got it. California topping the charts with cases, but, you know, not deaths, of course. New York and New Jersey still. New Jersey with its paltry population. California, I think, what was it, 40 million, 30 million, and then 20 like 1 and 20 million. So, you know, they still got, but Jersey's absurd. Massachusetts has a ton of deaths per capita. So let's just look overall the cases, you know, so first wave, second wave, you know, we've been going down since, here we go, peak July 24th. So we've been a month now, on a down, you know, on the second wave across the whole country. And also the deaths, obviously they reached their peak, it looks like about a week later. You could say that might have been like a bit of an outlier. It's possible that the deaths really were the 11th, which would be like a couple weeks ago. Maybe that it's not as a pronounced sort of peak with the death numbers you can see there. Anywho, so that's where we're at there, and you know. Let's see, we're still holding out for big first waivers, no second wave, you know, no real, pretty flat, almost no deaths at all. California, pretty weird reporting. I don't know what happened there, but they seem to be well on the downstroke of cases and deaths. You know, they seem to have peaked about 3 weeks ago. So, you know, things are looking okay there. I know we've like looked at Illinois in the past as well. So let's just check in. It's too early to say, but maybe the cases have finally turned over. The deaths, though, have never really picked up. And, I mean, they had somewhat of a first wave, but, I mean, never really, you know. So we'll see what happens. But they've had Upscale. Well, oh yeah, right. Remember, and Adam pointed out too. He said, remember, there's way more tests happening now. So this first wave is probably much like if the testing was as comprehensive as it is now, this first wave might have been way up. So there's so when you see a picture like this, oh, you can't see my mouse. Sorry. I've been pointing stuff out with it. When you see something like this, where the second wave, even nominally, the second wave nominally doesn't even get higher than the first wave, that means they didn't really have a second wave. Even if you do see an increase, like you have to see, what you see in California or something, where they didn't really have a first wave. Just compared to the first wave, it's dwarfed by the number of cases, of course, and then that can lead to this sort of a situation where you actually did have an increase in deaths. So I'll look at my current home state, and second wave, pretty good. Our deaths, the deaths are sort of been tough. They've been kind of weirdly flat. It's so, it's like there's days with nothing. Obviously this was the peak, but if that's a peak, then it was a couple weeks ago. Which, yeah, I guess it makes some sense. So anyway, but it certainly doesn't look like, we have anything coming down the pike. Remember when they were freaking out about Louisiana? Yeah. Their second wave wasn't even as bad as their first. And then, of course, Florida, the whipping boy of the media. Somehow, Florida, in all my dumbass friends' mind, is worse than New York. But, never even got remotely close. Has a larger population, slightly, but a larger population in New York City. Never got above 276. Worst day for deaths. And what do we see in New York? Worst day. $1,025. A lot of days up there around 1,000. So they broke 1,000 one time. So less than a third, almost a quarter, The worst day in New York State was almost 4 times worse than the worst day in Florida. And they kept it up really high for a while. Look at, you're all the way down here, May 8th. This is where you're finally below the worst day in Florida. All of the other ones before that are worse. And then you go back up above it. Anyway, it is the upside down, and I'm gonna wrap it up there. Hope you enjoy actually seeing me. I like it. I really like. Mainly I like to be able to actually show, play videos, show the website and everything. And because most of my audio is processed outboard anyway, it's not completely outboard. I guess I do a lot inside the box too, but I'm getting a little bit more confident with the outboard gear that I can make it sound pretty good. So I'll probably keep tweaking that. But anyway, I enjoyed doing it. As usual, I went way longer than expected, but there you have it. So thanks for listening. That's the news.